Hello, Merry Christmas. Welcome to Tarot for Our Times. Hope you've had a nice, peaceful one like I have had. It's a great day off, kind of a day. Um, and speaking of Christmas, of course, with the Death card is the theme of our journey into the next year. Um, the big ghost of Christmas past, with all of the news hasn't stopped. Like all these Epstein files are popping up like gangbusters. Like, oops, they were missing. So, of course, the ghost, or so the spirit of Richard Nixon, who I will call the ghost of Christmas past, he does. If you've looked at my thumbnail, he does emerge with the infamous tape recorder, where the big news was that he had been taping everything. Now everybody does. I mean, we're used to it, but back then it was quite shocking news about. And of course, it did contribute to his downfall. And so not only that, but they found that 18 minutes were cut out of the tape, and that raised all kinds of speculation and really, really took up a lot of space in the news. And it's more about, almost more important than what's in them, is what people imagine what could be in them, and that's very damaging. So now we have all these Epstein files that are growing like weeds, and they have to turn. They're just not going to have much time to do a lot of redacting of the people that they want to protect, so to speak. Um, so, and I also heard today, as I was scrolling through some news things, that apparently Mitch McConnell is really distancing himself away from Kanks. Um, and he's talking to other members in the Senate, and I do believe they did take a vote on no, along with the Supreme Court, no, you cannot use the National Guard as your own private police force. So, things are happening so quickly. I just, you ask the question now, is he the 21st century Barry Goldwater that's going to have that chat with with Kanks the way that Barry Goldwater did with Tricky Dick? So I have been saying there's kind of an eerie parallel to all of this. I just would love to know what's going on in Bob Woodward's mind, having reported on all of this. But at any rate, so death moves along, and not only with Nixon, but then, if you look at my thumbnail on my redo of the death card, Jeffrey Epstein. We have the ghost of Jeffrey Epstein. Maybe he's the ghost of Christmas present. And maybe I'll come up with one of Christmas future. Who knows? Okay, so the secondary card is about, and I think, it's about time. So, okay. So our secondary card for this reading will be, the Wheel of Fortune. It's like, it's becoming the Karma Express. I would say the good part of it being upright, that I want to say that this is for the United States and the world as a whole, and that in pushing the demon, that the demon is now down in the lower, weaker position. And this pretty much goes along with this whole thing of the MAGAs are starting to peel away. They're not going in droves, but as this turns, they're peeling away. And this thing with Mitch McConnell, we'll see how this plays out. But this could be, it's going to take a long time to repair the damage, but the Wheel of Fortune would be turning well for the United States as this regime seems to be falling apart. And the whole thing comes down to, wow, it really took them long enough, and a lot of them were young people. Mitch McConnell was a young guy during Watergate. I mean, a lot of them were at least in high school. So why is it's just been taking so long for them to come to their senses, which is about that horse with death is not galloping. It really takes time to let go. But I would say a lot of them stayed too long at the fair. They had their chance after January 6th, and there was some denouncing on one hand, but I'm trying to mute my phone. I always forget to do something before okay. So it's certainly taken so after, some of them had denounced him, but then they went right back in the fold. But I think it's an accumulation of that with all of the other things that a lot of them are finally getting the message. So part of our journey in this transformation going into 2016 is that maybe it's making us take a look at what harmful things have we hung on to. A lot of it is bad relationships, jobs, where you live, so many things. Saying, gee, why, when people finally made the decision, it was like, oh, it's about time. Why didn't I do this years ago? And for our personal lives, it comes down to, well, you're doing it now. When it comes down to these bozos, it's like, that would be all well and good, but look at the people they have harmed. There's so many people have been harmed. I will not count the ways, but the destruction that he allowed the muskrat and his little little boys did has really adversely affected people's lives. So I think I'm going to take a look and see. I'm going to see how this fits into our journey, because I think we're pretty much running parallel to all of this, and it is about with a new year of letting go of the old so you can make room for the new. Now I think that what I believe that the Tower card, as we get into the new year, the Tower card is going to play a big deal. There will be an earth stuff with earthquakes and a lot more. I think that we're just building up to the big Tower moment in the White House. Now, whether he keels over and croaks or leaves for entertainment purposes only, we don't know, but something is going to bring down a downfall. I happen to believe that with his health, I think he is dying. I really, it's just the deterioration is so rapid. But that may not take him out of office. We'll wait and see what happens. So I want to see how as far as we move along with this, if this is going to make how this fits in with our journey. Like, we got to discard a lot of the old to pick up and transform into the new, which is the end journey of the death card. And when I created the new moon card, which is the secondary card for the year, I did put the two. I did superimpose the Tower cards with that, because I believe that on this journey, people will need to have some Tower moments, and I think the Earth is going to have some Tower moments, saying, "You guys have got to wake up, because if you don't clean our act up, we're going to clean it up for you." So let's just see how this fits in with us. Okay. Oh boy, oh boy. All righty. Oh, my cards and everything all over the place. Okay. There's some order to this. And speaking of 26, I may be doing, everybody in their tarot mother is doing the predictions for the year. I think I might do it a little differently. I'm probably going to do one overall general thing and maybe be a little bit more specific with each quarter and do it quarterly. Now, I could spend the whole month of January doing the quarters, or I could do the quarters by the quarters. I don't know, but I do want to make it a little bit different. Okay, so where we're at now with this is, the King of Pentacles, who is the, he's pretty much of the grounded king who actually came from very humble beginnings and has earned his abundance by being very clever. He's built up a nice material life, but that wasn't. He's not if he's in reverse, that's a whole different story. But he's not one of those get rich quick. He's almost because the Knight of Pentacles he's the mature Knight of Pentacles, so he's made it slowly, deliberately, but surely, and now he's he's living pretty well. But he did the work. He worked hard. He did the work. Okay, so then, let's see, leading up to this, in the before tarot, we have interesting. This really goes along, and maybe this is what we're going for. Maybe this is us taking charge of our own lives. And okay, I'll spend $2 when I think of it for the Powerball, but I'm not like the person ahead of me that's spending like $1 zillion with scratch offs and this and that. So I think maybe people are going to realize that there's no get rich quick thing. And a lot of that has to do with, there's a little kitty cat in here. Okay, so we have the Five of Cups in reverse. So as he's getting ready to have his big pity party I think the cat's very significant because, with the sorrow and the loss, we do have a lot of responsibility, but not entirely. There are always outside forces that come in to screw up our lives. And we're living in the political system right now, but in reverse, I think he's saying, I don't think I'm going to go into the self-pitying. And I see that the cat knocked over one of the cups. So I realize that there's sometimes forces that happen. So before I do the pity party, maybe I want to live in the solution so I can move on. So that pretty much leads us. So because this guy has gotten where he is, he's been through some adversarial experiences. So then we have here in the after tarot, okay, this is what's happening. A good old Seven of Wands here. Okay, in this, it's like, as much as we would like to avoid conflicts, this talks about that this could be a volatile year, and the challenge is to keep our cool. I would say that the protests are going to be out the, they're going to be off the chart. I mean, I'm already getting emails like participating, and people are doing and I talked about it yesterday, their little resistance about ICE, like restaurants with the signs and not serving them and all this sort of thing. So the thing is, we will be challenged, and I can tell you from my old hippy-dippy protesting the war in Vietnam is that they're not above sending up out their own agents dressed up in costume. Like, of course, we don't fall into one category anymore like we did back in the 60s and 70s. But they'll have people in there infiltrating to start some trouble. So the thing is to stay grounded, and I think that organizers are better than they were back in the day. And I know that they warn people about that there are troublemakers, and some of them will be appearing to be some of us. So this is about not, and it's also about not buying into the chaotic BS that life happens to bring with dictatorial wannabe regimes. Okay, so the energy here, interesting. I was just talking about him. His ears must have been burning. Okay, we have got the Knight of Pentacles. So this pretty much goes in with a slow and steady, keep your wits about you, and what this also means is that we there are some economic sacrifices that we'll be making. Maybe it's changing internet service. Are you listening, Verizon? Okay, and working slowly, finding out ways to economize, and maybe realizing we don't need all the, gadgets and toys. So this is a kind of like a changing thing, and to not to be triggered. Very interesting. So lying underneath with my really beat up deck of cards that have seen coffee and all kinds of stuff. They've been used quite a bit. So underlying this we have this really is looking out to the future as we leave a lot of awful stuff behind. It is about looking out to the future, but it is also, maybe we can start to think of things like that we didn't want to do, like travel and that sort of thing, to think that may be possible. And also I like to look at it as as I look across the sea, and I know that all my friends overseas that I knew in various mediumship classes at Arthur Findlay and in the Netherlands and everything, that they know they have our backs. They know that a lot of us are not MAGA, so they've been very supportive. So we're kind of looking, if any of you have such friends overseas, that they're very important to keep in touch with. Okay, then I would say as this crumbles, and I see this accelerating, which may be part of my New Year's forecast, is that there will be a period of euphoria. With Kanks gone in whatever way it happens, again, for entertainment purposes only, I do not see any assassination. That ship has sailed, if in fact that's actually what happened. I'd say it's his health. It's doing him. So he may step down. He may be forced down. He may be incapacitated. Any number of things. There will be a period of euphoria that I think maybe some people need to let off some steam, but to know that enjoy it for a short amount of time, because think of a mistake we made the last time around is we really thought he was gone for good, and we learned the hard way that he wasn't. So I would say it's important to feel glad and maybe to even celebrate and that sort of thing, but to know that you got to get back to work. You really do. There's so much damage and also perhaps in our personal lives, we may have to, even though we're still angry with a lot of people for supporting this, we might be mending some fences with them in the hopes that if they're converted and come to their senses, even if it's entirely self-serving, that we really have to take them into the fold and get back on track again. Oh, and then we have the walking away. And I think it's from Ellie Dreams Down Under, that sees this, and I love this, that you walk away from all the emotional stuff and you go back to family, which it follows, it's logically that we will be going back to family, perhaps to simpler things, and letting go of things that we found to be important that are no longer important. It is walking away from the, aren't you tired? I am totally exhausted. I am exhausted from all of this drama. It's just like you want to be with just your close friends, family, and get the hell out of here, everybody else. That kind of a thing. So that will be something that's happening. So in opposition, we have, the Five of Cups. Okay, I have to address this, and I understand Jennifer and Angie of I've Had It. They make a very good point in saying the Democrats and Joe Biden really screwed up because we had a chance to make Trump, accountable, and he picked the wrong attorney general. Judges do not make good attorney generals. That's, I believe, with Glenn Kirshner completely. But they beat the drum, and I think it's important to keep it out there. But let's not get too carried away with it. I really think it's time to have a big realization of that and go follow Bernie Sanders and AOC and, my representative Summerly, all the, go with the more progressive wing and maybe put these others out to pasture. But people need to be aware of it, but let's not dwell on it. Let's just, I know it already. I love those ladies dearly, but I don't need to hear that every single day, okay? Alrighty, so we got that going on. Then, let's see, I think I went, yeah. Okay. I think we learn from our mistakes, but don't be flagellant. That's what it comes down to. Learn from the mistakes, but just don't stay there and just don't use them to beat yourselves up. And I'm comparing this to a recovery person. I know what happens if I drink again, and I know the awful behavior that, you get embarrassed to think about it. So you know that, but don't use that to beat yourself up. You've got to, that's one of those things you've got to let it go. You made some mistakes in the past, own them, and then just move on. And I think that's part of the journey of the lessons learned. So, okay, so on the conscious level, we have, yep, we're catching the bad guys. They're not getting away with it anymore. That's on the and it's even today on Christmas Day, like the whole world is closed on Christmas Day. Stuff is still happening. The Supreme Court was still, it's amazing. Okay, so then the conscious level. Okay, on the subconscious level, we have, interesting how this keeps coming up. We want to live in the past, but it's not possible. But we have this idea of what it was, which it really, really wasn't. So this is kind of an underlying force, and it's maybe working out in dream work or whatever of, really, it's like getting out of the past. It goes to that whole Nixon with the tapes thing, and now we've got it. We've got the King Kong version with the Epstein files. That really, what's missing? What are we missing here? And it's time to learn that we cannot repeat the past, and it wasn't all that hot anyway. Okay. Alrighty, so that's one way that we're going to transform. Enough with the drinking out of the garden hose memes and the going home when the lights went out. I think some of that still exists, but I scroll past those anymore. Okay, so in the past, we have, oh, interesting. Wowie, this guy keeps coming up. He's interesting. Okay, so in the before tarot, see, this money is coming into him, but what's funny, because it does look like the Ace of Pentacles. Before he grasps that's in his hands, he's contemplating, what am I going to do with this? So it's, I think in the past, it's, so much of this has been about our finances, which have been like really awful, if you want to know the truth. So this is about like thinking, because this guy's really he's in a lot of deep thought, and he's really thinking like, well, I can't go spending it like a drunken sailor. So before, we would like to have more money, but, and, I guess a lot of people are manifesting that, but this is thinking about the finances. It really is. And perhaps the universe may be holding it back until we get a little bit more of a realistic view, instead of worshiping Nine of Pentacles billionaires and, that god-awful TV show, The Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. All of that it's like maybe the universe is going to say, you really got to lose that shit before I give this to you. Okay, so that's kind of been creeping up to us. So in the present, we have, there will be decisions to make. It's not easy to say, it's easy to say, oh, I'm not going to make the same mistakes, but we just can't seem to help ourselves. We always think it's going to be different. So, and we have a tendency to think things to death. So with the moon being in this, it's saying we've got to think, but we've got to use our intuition. Take the blindfold off and be realistic. So that's pretty much how we're going into the new year. A lot of decisions. It might even be like cutting the cable, or do I really need to get that new car, or can I make this last? I mean, it could be simple things like this, or maybe I need to move and get another job altogether. So there will be we're in this whole thing like, what am I going to do about this? So the thing is part intuition, but don't think things to death. So moving on into the future, as the ball comes down in Times Square, I feel like to pick one of these. Oh, the World. We are right now, we're practically we're 1 week away from the new year. It's like I think we've completed a cycle. A lot of this stuff is, dare I say, that the MAGA world is pretty much done and dusted. There will be some people that hang on, but for most, and it's like, okay, so what do we do now? Okay, for most is that we have completed this cycle, or we are in the process of completing this cycle as we go into the new year. So then we're back again at the Fool. So going a little bit into the future. So going into the future, we have, death. But death is in, let's see, where is he now? Oh yeah, he's pretty much passed over the dead bodies, and he's getting closer to those pillars of transformation, or those people, like they've given it up. It's, so he's moving on. It seems like that horse is accelerating a little bit, but with it being in reverse, that hoping that this means that these crises are going to become less at the same time, but there's still some things we may be hanging on to that we don't need to. And I will also say that we may, in our own personal journeys, whatever, be moving a little bit faster in this than the government. But I think that's moving fast. I really think that's moving fast. So, how we see ourselves. I think what we're starting to see, we see ourselves, well, this is encouraging, we see ourselves as perhaps we've been carrying unnecessary burdens. And I think a lot of this is the technology, the AI, all of this stuff, and the whole conflict that we've been into, that, we see ourselves as maybe starting to unburden ourselves as we get into this new year, and that we don't have to carry the load of Nixon. Let the government, we don't have to carry that load anymore. How others are going to be seeing us as we start to wake up and let go of a lot of things, and doing resistance and protesting within the law are a way of saying, yeah, we are letting go of the old order. And it comes along when you do that in your personal life, you find that you become very clever about doing this in changing we're helping to change. So how do others see us? Okay. It's going to take them a while to trust us, because they're going to see us as the magician in reverse with some, trying some old tricks up our sleeves. And, I think that they're going to see the residue. It's going to take a while for them to trust us again. That's the whole thing. We're going to have to earn their trust and convince them that we are the magician using our best resources upright, but they're going to see us as the magician in reverse and not quite see us that way. So I just want to pull a card and say, what's it going to take? What is it going to take for us to start to get the trust back? And this could also be in the personal lives where, people have screwed over someone in a relationship or a job, and they really want to make amends. They don't trust them yet, and say, oh, they've got tricks up their sleeves. I don't know what's it going to take? And this is going to say, we have to stop worrying about it. They're going to feel what they're going to feel, put ourselves in their position, like the NATO and the EU and the rest of the world, or Canada, Mexico. How would we have felt? So the thing is, stop worrying about it. Stop worrying, because we can't make this happen overnight. Either they're on the world stage or personal relationships, and then again, know that this is not going to happen all at once, and that there's still some emotional bad feelings. So this is really about, pretty much about, showing by actions that we can be trusted again. So one final card here. Yep. I think the thing is, what this is saying is that we may need to be cleaning up our own backyard first before of course, that we'll leave it to the diplomats to, get the world with us again. But I think we first don't worry, because we can't force this. There's a lot of emotional stuff, but also, interesting, they're all in reverse. So what this is saying is that we get our own personal lives in order, get a government where we get some good diplomats to take care of the rest of the world, and maybe we can help, but we really have to do this in our own backyard and with ourselves in our personal lives to do this before we can BC, because it's going to take what it's going to take. So the conclusion of this reading is, as far as being haunted by the ghosts of Christmas past with Tricky Dick and his tape recording and what we have now, which is like, it's kind of weird how similar it is. So let's see what the conclusion of this is. The thing that we need to do is, it's been very hard to not, really be in a level of like despair, self-pitying, and then which makes us blind to seeing everything else. So it's really important that we need to have faith that that things are pretty much happening to change this. But that this is about getting isolated and being very, very negative. It's a hard thing to avoid, but I think we really need to look and say, look, this whole thing's falling apart. We've got to get out of our self-imposed prisons, is what this is saying. And the energy with this is got the Ace, interesting swords thoughts. Ace of Swords in reverse, which is seeing not only the lies that we have been told by whatever this is ruling us now, but also maybe the lies that we have been telling ourselves. So, and this goes to take off the blindfold, see things for the way that they really are. And it's getting very realistic on one hand. But on the other hand, it's really important to not to despair either. Maybe we needed a little holiday and I think they're being a little bit different this year, because I know people are not spending money on presents and parties. That's for sure. That get expensive, and that people have had to make their lives more simple. And maybe that's not such a bad thing after all. And hopefully when this whole thing is over, that maybe people get more prosperous again, which I think could, it might take a while, but it will happen. They'll think twice about, do I really need this? And maybe do I need to take a break from the technology and be with family and put the damn phone away, all that sort of thing. So I'm seeing this as learning lessons from the past, and knowing that but letting it go too. We've got to let some of this go and not live in that 5 of Cups hellscape. So at any rate, that's what I've got, and I will be working on however I choose to do my next year coming up real quick forecast. So enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll try to get this up before Christmas is over in a few hours. Okay, so have a merry, and I'll see you soon. Bye.